Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, Miss Abby 94, and you already know what it is. I'm back at it again with the back at it again with another recap. Oh my God, y'all! ABC is trying to finally up their budget for an episode. You know I got to get into it. We have made it to week 7, so you already know what you got to do. You got to stay tuned, like, duh. Hey, what's up, everyone? Oh my gosh, if you do not know me by now, my name is Abby, also known as the black girl who watches The Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I do these recaps. I am your source for in-depth analysis, for good tea, for good reads, and just a good time, okay? So if you haven't already, get you something to drink, get you a snack, because we're going to be here for a little minute to discuss what happened in week 7, okay? But before we get into this recap, I don't think I need to say this. I think this goes without saying, but just in case, if you have not subscribed, let's just take a minute for you. I know you've been here before. I know you've probably watched the recap before, or if this is your first time, welcome, thank you, glad to have you. Hit the subscribe button. Not only does it encourage me to keep going, but it also shows me that you support me. I honestly want to do a day in the life of what it looks like to try to live stream and do these recaps and how many hours it takes. I don't think that comes across, but it takes me hours to give this to y'all every week, and with someone who has a life and a full-time job, I do my best to accommodate and really give this to y'all. So all I really ask is for that like, that subscribe, that comment, that share. Like, that is what fuels me, and I thank you for supporting. And if you haven't, just hit the subscribe button. Do you want to keep hearing the speech? I know you don't want to keep hearing the speech. You're trying to hear what happened with Becca this week, so hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Now we've gotten that out of the way, it seems like the theme of week 7 is Blake is falling apart. Guys are saying they love Becca, and it's a whole lot of side-eyeing for me and a whole lot of eye-rolling for me, and you about to find out why, so let's get into it. So we start off this episode with them announcing that they are in the Bahamas. Now, we knew that from last week. They previewed it. And of course, I was super excited because this is the first chance they're getting to have a real week where it's slightly budget free. Like, I think the budget was still constricted, but we got a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? So I was definitely excited for that, and also to just see the Bahamas. It's gorgeous. Oh my God, the water is beautiful. We're getting shots of a resort. They didn't go local at all. I barely saw the people on the island, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm definitely more excited than I've ever been this season, just seeing that they're going on a new location, and I'm hoping that the Bahamas is going to open up some new feelings and get me more excited to see where these relationships are. So the guys are in their hotel room, and everyone's pretty much discussing how they feel about Becca and how they feel about each other and how they view each other. One thing of note is that Blake is really frustrated. He is just talking to the guys about how much he likes her, how confident he was in their connection when they had their one-on-one a few weeks ago, and how he's just like been struggling with not having enough time, but also like struggling with his feelings for her. And in his confessionals, he's really talking about the same things. He just keeps saying, I hope Becca feels the same way about me. I feel like I'm coming undone, and this is a really hard week for me. Kind of seeing her with other guys in this process. He's really starting to recognize that there are other guys who have connections with her and who might go on a date and come back, and he didn't realize like what it was until now. And week 7, I would call it the week of Blake breaking down. Blake, I was just like, Blake, come, let's have a sip together, boo. It's okay. It's okay. Oh. Some of the other guys are also expressing their want to get a one-on-one and want to have more time. Of course, we're hearing Garrett, we're hearing Colton. Those 3, I would say, are the most pumped and excited to get some time this week. And I think it's going to be kind of the layout of what this week is going to look like. Becca does come in and she announces that this week is going to be a little bit different with hometowns on the horizons. They're going to switch up, you know, the types of dates they're giving. So she will be giving out 3 one-on-ones and the final date will be a 3-on-1 where 1 rose will be given out. Personally, at this point, I don't think that anyone is quite ready for her to meet their family, but sure, let's see. She does announce that one of the dates starts right now, and she says the first date is going to Colton. Now, I already told y'all that Blake was freaking out. He was talking about how much he wants time with her, and you can literally see, did she just fucking do that? Written all over his face. Like he was on stuck, y'all. He literally was just like, skirt, skirt, excuse me. Becca, clear your throat. Speak up. I think you said Blake wrong. I think we couldn't hear you. Like, I think you meant Blake, but you just said Colton. Like, what's good? He was really looking forward to that time, and instead it's going to Colton. A lot of the other guys share Blake's sentiments, and you kind of see them pan to the group of guys, and they're just not looking pleased. Obviously, Colton just came off of a one-on-one, I think, the week before. He has been getting consistent time, and it's super annoying. Y'all know how I feel about him. You know how I just don't see it there, and here he is getting a one-on-one in such a big week. So whatever. She takes him and they are walking on the beach, and Becca announces that they're gonna get on a boat and like chill and hang out and just sail for a little bit and just, you know, be cute or whatever. Typical bachelor activities. They get on this boat, y'all, and they are literally all over each other. When I tell you, this woman is infatuated with his body. That's what's keeping him here. She wants to give him the business. Every time they're together, it's always Becca being super all over him, you know, kissing all over him, rubbing all over him, laying on top of him. You could just tell there's so much sexual chemistry and tension between them. And Becca, she just can't help herself. She's saying in her confessional, every time they're together, it's just like a whole vibe, a whole mood. It doesn't hurt that he's easy on the eye. It's like every time she's talking about him, I feel like she's mentioning physical attraction. And we know how important that is. But at this point, I'm just like, let it go, Becca. Let it go. As they're sailing on the water, this yellow boat approaches them with this very, very, very upbeat young man. And he is screaming, "Hey, I see you too." And of course, Becca does a fake laugh like, "Oh my God, oh, who's that? I didn't know you were coming." The guy comes closer and he does hop on their boat. And he tells them that he is, you know, native to the Bahamas. He is speaking in this very thick accent. He's just like a very bubbly type of guy. Just someone you would imagine you would meet, you know, native to the island. Definitely very funny. And he was just making jokes with them and saying that they're going to be conch diving. He explains conch as the Bahamian aphrodisiac. And I was just like... This whole date was just full of innuendos relating to what's inevitable about what Colton is going to talk about with Becca this week. So I just find it funny that there were so many sexual innuendos in his date. Like, I was dead laughing. All of a sudden, Becca and this friendly, nice Bahamian man are in the water, and it's time to start diving. One thing I noticed, our good sis Becca is not diving for anything, y'all. She's literally like just doing the donkey paddle, being cute or whatever. And Colton is diving to the bottom of this friggin' water. He dives all the way to the bottom and picks up a conch and swims back up. And Becca's just like, she's above the water like, yes, babe. Yes, babe. I'm like, yes, sis. You better chill and relax while he go get that conch. Do not get your hair wet, girl. I know what that's like. Never. Yes, girl. Just stay cute. Stay cute above water. That's all 2018, okay? I was super impressed with how far and how deep that was and how quickly he did it. So 1 pointer for you, Colton. Go ahead. They get back on the boat, and the friendly man that they're with announces that, you know, because it's an aphrodisiac, they are going to eat it. He's telling Colton that this is going to allow you to leave her satisfied and allow you to go longer and stuff like that. And you could just see Colton tense up. Like, he is just tense as hell. Like, why the fuck are these producers so ruthless? Typical petty ass producers. And for once, I was living for it. He said to pull out the conch, and then you're going to take the pistol out of it, which is the part that they eat to get, you know, turned on or whatever. So they're both looking at each other like, you gonna do it? You gonna do it? You gonna do it first? You gonna do it first? You try to first? You try to do this? Like, Becca finally breaks into that awkward silence of them looking at each other like, I don't want to do this, but Colton, if you eat it, I'll eat it. Like, let's do it. So they pull out the pistol, and Becca just puts that thing in her mouth. And at this point, Colton has no choice but to put it in his mouth as well. And they're both grimacing as they eat it. And I was just laughing. I was literally laughing so hard. You could just tell that it was just one of those things they had to do because they on The Bachelorette. We hear in Becca's confessional, she's talking about how she doesn't think that Colton and her need an aphrodisiac, and the pistol of the conch was nowhere near necessary. But hey, they have all the chemistry in the world, and as they're panning back to them on this date, we can see that chemistry is completely palpable. They are hugged up on each other. They are kissing on each other. Again, Becca is so she's just so into his body, and I think it's quite obvious on this part of the date. So they're seated at dinner, and the thing that Colton has to reveal to Becca tonight is that he is a virgin. Yes, the football player, the not-for-profit, the inexperienced in love Colton is a virgin, and he is freaking out about telling her. When he said this, you know, I felt like this piece of information was kind of teased in the beginning of the season and in the teaser for the season, but we've kind of forgotten about that information. At least I have over the season. It hasn't really been as big of a storyline or an arc as it's been in past seasons, like with, say, Ashley I on Crystal Soul's season. And to me, I don't know if that's like a gender thing, and the, you know, the feminist inside of me wants to be like, okay, y'all ain't gonna, you know, make that his biggest storyline. He's actually a person. I don't think it really changes my view on him. I still don't think he's great for Becca. I still don't really like him, and it's not because of that. But I do think it's cool that he has waited this long and is this passionate about something close to him. So I'm not judging him for that, but of course he is very nervous to tell Becca about this information about himself. So they sit down at dinner, and Becca starts pressing him for information. Of course, she's trying to figure out if, can this fine ass body get me to give him a rose for hometowns? If I were to answer that question for her, it would be, yeah, sis, we know you trying to get him to that fantasy suite. I see you. I see you. You ain't fooling me. You trying to get it in with him. We know what it is. We ain't judging you, but let's see if you still feel that way after this convo, sis. Okay. I do have something I want to tell you about. It's something that I've been nervous about in the past, and something that I've definitely struggled with. And he starts off by saying, as I was growing up, I put all of my time and all of my energy into professional Colton. That included football, his nonprofit, and all of that. And so he was like, I didn't really go on a lot of dates. I didn't really talk to a lot of women. I didn't really even fall in love with a lot of women. For me, it was just like, work, work, work. That led me to still being a virgin. And she was just looking at him like, I know what that face was. That face was like, are you kidding me? Yo, that face was that white lady with the curtains. No. She's been waiting for that fantasy suite, y'all. She's been waiting. And that, I think that just sucked her back into reality. And he just talks about how it was hard for him to be a virgin because in his line of work, obviously sports, being in the locker room, guys are always talking about their sexual conquest and who they've been with. And he felt the need to lie about who he was and lie about stories with women. And he got to a point when he got older and was just like, why do I need to lie about who I am? I feel like this is something that I should be proud of. He even mentioned how he doesn't even think his dad knows. I think just a lot of it, as he was explaining it, it made it seem like it was this big taboo thing that he was so worried about, like society would shun him for. It definitely will influence the relationship, but I think that it's just another thing of life. He is not like waiting to have sex for marriage, but waiting to have sex when he meets the right person and it's like the right fit. After hearing this news, Becca does ask, can he give her a second? And she gets up and she walks away from the table. My guess is that they asked her to do an interview and, you know, that broke up the scene, or she actually needed some time to think about what she wanted to do with Colton and was walking around the property and trying to figure out she was going to keep Virgin Colton because she did have plans for him. I think the key here is that she's trying to figure out if she can be the girl, that perfect girl, or that connection that he was talking about, and if he will take a chance on her in that way. She does return to the table and she says that she doesn't judge him. It doesn't change how she feels about him, and she offers Colton the rose and he does accept. So Colton is one of the guys that is going on the hometowns. I am, again, displeased, but at this point it's like, I tried to tell you, I've been trying to tell you, but go ahead, try to get him. Try to have sex. Try to get it in, girl. You can try. You will not succeed. Let him go. 2018. Now we're back at the room with the guys, and again we're seeing this is the second one-on-one that's going to be given out, and Blake wants that date. The same with Wills. His feelings are growing deeper for her. He wants to spend time with her. He misses her when they're not together, and he would love to get a one-on-one date. So this second one-on-one date is highly coveted, y'all. The date card does arrive, and the card does say Garrett. So Garrett is getting the second one-on-one, and you can see on the guys' faces they are not pleased. So Garrett and Becca do meet up with each other and they hug super tight. She is all over him, y'all. She's so all over him. You could just see that the energy between them is palpable. She is feeling the hell out of him. She is all over him and he is hugging her so tight right back. And I was just like, ugh, ugh. They will be getting into a helicopter and looking over the entire island. I was just like, yes, yes, spend the money. That's all I heard. I was just like, spend the money, spend the money. Make it rain, make it rain, make it rain, budget finally coming through, budget finally coming through. They get into this helicopter and y'all, they start looking over the sights. They start just grinning and their energy is crazy. They're screaming, they're like pointing at the different sights, and I could just tell that they have this like chemistry between them that's very goofy and lighthearted. But I think that deep down in Becca's mind, she's wondering if that's all there is to their relationship, and if they can get to this a very emotional and very passionate, loving place. And I think that's going to be kind of the center of what they talk about at dinner. It's dinner time for Garrett and Becca, and they're talking about where they are and how they feel about each other. Garrett starts telling her about how much he really likes her, how he's just been having such a good time with her, and how he just knows that their relationship is built on this just great lighthearted foundation. He sees no red flags with her. He doesn't see anything that doesn't work about her personality with him, and he says he always looks forward to spending time with her. Now, Becca definitely agrees with him. She mentions how she notices that he doesn't really budge when it comes to being under pressure. Like every time she sees him, he's just really cool. He's very calm and he's very collected, and he doesn't show too much nervousness. And he just tells her that that's just how he lives life. He realizes that life is short and it's really all about making the best of the time that you do have and not stressing the small stuff. I mentioned before that Becca seems to have some concerns when it comes to how much Garrett is ready to commit and give her like the full package outside of just being funny. And she starts asking him questions like that. She brings back up that ex-wife, and it's just like, so, you know, you did get married to her, you know, you did go through with the whole thing, even the wedding day. Kind of, why didn't it work out? Like, what made you get married to her and have it not work out? And he just mentions how he was young, he was right out of college, and basically that there were a lot of warning signs to not do it, and yet because he wanted to please her and please the relationship, he kind of went through with it anyway. She was very like just overwhelming when it came to him, and he said even though she showed those signs from when they started dating, he always just wanted to please her and be fulfilled and be a good guy and go all the way through with the full commitment. And once he was in the marriage, he realized that that was a big mistake and that they had rushed into it. Personally, y'all know how I feel about just speaking about it in general, speaking about exes in general. I just don't think that Garrett is telling the full story. I don't think that he takes responsibility for his own part in the relationship. It really doesn't make sense to me how he refuses to acknowledge anything that he might have done wrong. Again, this could be because of editing, but I honestly I'm not hearing him say, you know what, I messed up. I did this, I did that. It's always she was this, she was that, she was an angry person, she was that, did that. And yet you say she was that in the relationship, and yet you still married her. So how about you take fault for that? You know, I just don't hear him taking any blame. And it's a quality that I absolutely hate. And it's just like, it leaves me to wonder if Garrett is any good at all, and if he is a genuine truth-telling person. Again, I have not been sold that. I have not been convinced of that, and it leads me to believe that I just cannot trust this man. Setting aside everything that's come out about him, it's just like every time he speaks about, you know, a negative situation, he has no blame on himself. And I side-eye him all the time. I'm just like, I would not date him. It's a no. It's a whole ass no. So you married her even though you had doubts and you saw things in the beginning. And she literally tells him straight up, that is a fear that I have with you. She's just like, I fear that you're going to just stick through something just because you like certain things. And even though there's warning signs, and even though you're not all the way satisfied, you're going to do it just to do it. And basically the nature of the show is that you have to trust that someone is going to make a decision about your whole life, in theory, off of emotions that they feel now. And if someone is just going to kind of push through and get on one knee, even though they might see a little disconnect or they might see something that might not work, but just to please you, they're going to do it in that moment, that is not the person you need. And that's the person he has proven to you he is. So I'm just like, boo, sis, accept what he has told you, accept what he's done in his past, because that is the best way to learn about what he will do to you. I'm sorry, boo. I hate to break it to you, but his past, and even how he's not even blaming himself, but the way he's talking about it lets me know that he might not be the most fully committed, most mature, and the most compatible person for you, seeing as how much you've been through with guys who can just be overall flaky. He's proving that he could have some flaky tendencies, and I think you should run for the hills, sis. I don't see anything like that with you. I could see how you would be afraid of what I just told you, but I promise you, I am not that guy. I'm not giving you anything to worry about, and I really like where we are. Everything I've seen with you, every time I see you, is always good vibes. We're always having so much fun. And I just feel wholeheartedly like you are someone I could see myself marrying and starting my life with and starting the kids with. So basically telling her my past might be alarming to you and what I just might have told you might be alarming, but it's just how it is. It's the truth that you so desperately want all the time. And I hope you'll accept me for it and we can keep moving forward. Seems like that was enough for Becca, because she does start getting that grin on her face, the one she always gets when she's around this man. And I'm just like, sis, focus, don't get weak now. I do really like you. He starts telling her, I can tell you that I'm really falling for you. I'm falling in love with you. And I don't want to stop. I want you to meet my family. I want you to meet my parents and my grandparent. And I just want you to meet my whole family. And I want you to come to my hometown. And so she picks up that rose. She looks into his eyes and she's just like, I'm so glad we got this time. You and I always had that spark. We always had that funniness. I like that first impression rose. I gave it to you for a reason, but now I know today that we have the emotional part. And I was just like, oh baby, why gets the rose and Garrett does accept. So Garrett is the second person who is guaranteed to be going to hometowns next week, and I'm already dreading it. The third date card is on its way. Leo does grab the card, and we again are hearing the rest of the remaining guys talking about how they would love to have time. Blake, of course, is at the front of this. He is talking about how he has struggled seeing her pick other guys before him for the one-on-one. He can't understand how he hasn't gotten a one-on-one up until this point, and he's wondering if he does not get this one-on-one today, this last one-on-one, if they are really where he thinks they are. He's definitely eyeing that date card and praying and wishing on a star and just channeling all his energy to make sure his name is on that card. And for his own sanity, I'm hoping his name is on that card too. So Leo does read the card, and it does say Blake. Blake has the biggest smile on his face. Oh my God. He was genuinely so excited to hear that he was getting the last one-on-one, and also that he was going to get to see Becca for the whole day. And I was definitely excited for him. Like, it was just a very contagious joy that he had on his face. They are on the beach, and she is mentioning how they are just going to be exploring for the day. When I hear explore, I hear budget tightness, budget constriction, ain't no budget bid. Because every time I hear them just exploring, I'm like, can y'all plan something, please? Somebody, who is y'all financial advisor? Who got the spreadsheet that I need? Because I'm sick of these exploring dates. I'm sick of them. But because y'all are in the Bahamas today, I will give you a pass. But I don't want to see another one of these exploring dates. Plan something for them, please. Thank you. As they're walking on the beach, in the faint background, we do hear Who Let Their Dogs Out playing. And I'm just like, so they do approach the beach, and Becca announces that the Baja Boys will be playing their new single, which I'm just like, okay. And there is a huge beach party going on. So she takes Blake to that middle of the beach party, and they are just dancing so carefree. Oh my gosh, they are all over each other. He is spinning her. She is rocking her hips. She is doing a dip. She's dropping it like it's hot. And I was just like, okay, my good sis has some rhythm. I was definitely like, you better, girl, you better back that thing up on. We hear in his confessional, he's talking about how good of a dancer she is, how much fun he is having at this party, and how he is so happy to be on a date with his girlfriend, because you know he calls her his girlfriend, which I think is so adorable. And he's just so happy to just be right at that stage where they're so close to him getting to bring her home to his family. So now it's time for the dinner date. We know that Blake has been having a really hard time this week. He's been expressing a lot of emotion. He has had a visceral reaction every single time a guy has gotten a one-on-one and come back with that rose. And every single one who's had a one-on-one so far has gotten a rose. And he's starting to realize that Becca might be starting to like some of these guys. Like, it might be, you know, he might have some competition. And I think Blake is just really worried at this point. Blake just comes right out with it and tells her, this week has been hard for me. I really struggle seeing you go on those one-on-ones with the other guys. And I'm starting to realize, like, this shit is not fun. Like, I really don't like this at all. And I just want to be with you. I want to be with my girlfriend all the time. I just have so many feelings for you, and I'm just not used to not being able to be around you. And Becca definitely sympathizes with him. She's just like, when I was at this point in the game, I definitely struggled with not getting time. I struggled with wondering if I was going to get time. And she mentions that she did notice that when she called that Colton was going to get the first one-on-one, she saw his face out of everyone's. He was pained. He was looking confused. He was looking pissed. And she definitely realized that his emotions were there. He was so reactive and so expressive, and she knew that he was going to be having a hard time this week. But she also admires that he's so invested in this process and definitely loves that about him. So Becca starts talking about how she is in this process and starting to realize that she's building connections with a lot of the guys, and that she didn't really know what it was going to be like being on the other side, being the lead, and figuring out that you like a lot of guys. Some of them, the connections developed a little slower, and some of them have always been there. And the thing with Blake is that connection has always been there. And now she's struggling with the fact that she's gaining feelings for these other guys in the process. And she's telling Blake that, y'all. She is telling him that I'm sorry to tell you that it's not just you in the picture anymore. Blake is crushed. I just couldn't believe that Becca was definitely admitting to him that I like some other guys. I'm starting to like some other guys, and I know you really like me, but I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'm a rock in a hard place. And that is not the thing to say to Blake right now. He is looking like, damn, this is my fear. This is what I feared. I can't believe that the guys that I underestimated up until this point, because I was so sure of our connection, could actually take the front runner spot and take my girl from me. I saw someone who was just like, no, she's mine. She's mine. I've worked for this. We've built something. Get out of the way, y'all. Get out of the way. I think, y'all, to be quite honest with you, I'm starting to see Becca kind of warn him now that she might not pick him in the end. I don't know if in the past couple of weeks, maybe they had an off-camera conversation where she told him, if all else keeps going how it's going, you're the one for me. Or if she maybe whispered in his ear, you know, you looking real fine, you my man, or something, like gave him hope, gave him that reassurance, because he's acting to me how Sean B started to act when Nick was all up in the picture on Caitlyn's season, where he was just getting so, you could see, so love sick, so overwhelmed when he would see her leave with that guy that he worried about. And I think he's starting to see Colton and Garrett finally as his biggest competition, and he just keeps thinking to himself, could they really win? Could they really end up with Becca? I can't see it. She's mine. We've been here since day one. And for her to admit to him that, yes, she even says, I sympathize with Ari and how he felt being the lead. Like, I can't imagine how hard that must have been for him to fall for all of these people and have to pick that one. And your emotions are everywhere. And I'm just like, she is basically warning Blake that I liked you from the beginning and we've been there, but my heart it's in two places. That's what I heard. And I couldn't believe she was so honest with him. And I couldn't believe that he had the courage, even after that conversation, to lead into a new conversation. Becca asked him, if we go in your hometown, who am I going to meet? And he tells her, you're going to meet my mom, you're going to meet my dad, you're going to meet my siblings. And he was like, before you meet them, I definitely have to let you know about kind of my past. So he says, it's really hard for me to open up, but my parents did get divorced when I was like a sophomore in high school. And the thing about the divorce was that it was so public in their small town. Basically, his mom was having an affair with his high school coach and like one of his, I think he said his English teacher. And so this is someone he has to see every day. And then to kind of find out that his mom was, you know, maybe cheating on his dad with this person was definitely hard. And it was even harder to do it in a small town where everybody's business travels fast. He said he heard a lot about what was going on with the divorce of his parents through other people and through acquaintances in the town. And he was like, that is like kind of my biggest fear. And that's what makes me want to be like just a stand-up family guy, stand up for my family, stand up for my wife, do the right thing, because I would never want to be in a situation like my parents were when they were divorcing. And she just mentions how he's always so open and so honest, and that's such a turn on for her. And even with everything they've discussed with this whole him maybe not being the only one she has her eyes on, he still feels comfortable enough to go on and say, you know what, Becca, I know I told you before that I was falling in love with you, but it's past that. I can wholeheartedly say that I am in love with you and I'm ready to take those steps. I want you to meet my family. I want you to come through and see my complicated past, and I want you to be mine. And they start kissing, y'all. And I was just like, I don't know. I haven't had this feeling this season yet where I feel like someone is genuine, where I feel like someone is putting their emotions out there, where I feel that genuine spark. But I was just getting those butterflies, those moments as Blake was talking to Becca at this dinner scene. I was really happy with him being so open, even after I feel like she, you know, kind of could have shut him down with what she told him. But no, he just kept pushing through. And I think at this point, he just wants her to know where he's at. He's putting all his cards on the table, and he's just trying to secure it. He's trying to secure their future right now. And I thought it was so sweet and so romantic. And it definitely Am I gonna say this? Am I gonna say this? I think it definitely made me Team Blake. I know. I haven't picked a team all season, which is crazy. But I'm not full on Team Blake. Like, I'm still a little concerned. I'm still a little concerned with the longevity of the possibility of the relationship. But I think his emotions seem so genuine. Just how love sick he was all week, and his admission to loving her was more than I've gotten from any of the other relationships. So it definitely excites me and it makes me feel happy, and I can see in her eyes that it makes her the happiest girl in the world. Like, her face lit up like it hasn't lit up all season. And he is the best option out of these guys. He is. And she picks up that rose. She says she loves to hear that. Obviously, she feels very similar to how he feels. Offers him the rose, can't wait to meet his family, and he does accept. And Blake is the third person that will be out of hometown next week. Like, I think we all saw that coming. We're glad that he got his time. But one thing that I was not expecting was for Becca in her confessional to admit that she was so happy hearing him say that he's in love with her, and that the feelings are mutual. She is in love with him too. And she says she so badly wanted to say it back, but she didn't. But she's just happy to know that he feels the same way that she does. I don't know. This made me so excited to hear that. But again, it made me nervous because I definitely feel like these scenes, this episode, are like setting Blake up for some big competition. I feel like they're setting us up to see that she is really in love with him right now, and maybe somebody else could take that over, you know, in the next coming weeks. And I'm just praying that that's not the case. But at this point, I think her and Blake are the most solid, and that if I were to pick anyone, it would be Blake. Now it's time for us to get into the final 3-on-1 date. We already know who's going to be on the date. No big reveal, no anything like that. It's going to be Wills, it's going to be Leo, and it's going to be Jason. Let's see who's going to fill that 4th hometown spot. The guys all arrive, and our good sis Becca is definitely in her little short shorts. She in her little yellow bright top, all white jacket. Like, she's definitely coordinated, looking super comfortable and super cute for someone who has to send 2 men home tonight. I was just like, girl, teach me your ways, savage. We see Leo give her a super tight hug. We see Jason give her an incredible hug, lift her up, and then we see her connect with Wills, and it looks like Becca is very jovial on this date. And I just keep thinking to myself, why is she so damn happy? She's just like, I know this is an awkward time, I know this is not ideal, but I'm super excited to see all of you, and I want you to just have fun today. Like, whatever happens, let's just have fun. She definitely did say this on the 2-on-1, so I'm just like, sis, come on, we need a new line. But at the same time, I love how she always tries to start the uncomfortable dates with a little bit of positivity. I definitely think it's the best approach, if any. Jason is really seeming very confident. He's talking about how he's just like looking at this as more time to spend with Becca, and he's not too worried about what this date is going to hold for him. He's just happy to spend time with her. Wills, on the other hand, in his confessional, is talking about how this date is so important. This is the most important rose that he will ever get in this process, and it's also one of the most important days of his life. I thought that was a bit extra, but Wills is definitely taking this time and this day very seriously. We hear Leo a little more relaxed in his confessional. He's talking about how he's hoping that this day will give him some clarity and hopefully move him closer to being comfortable with Becca coming home to meet his family. So they are on the beach, and they do split up, and they start having, you know, one-on-one conversations with Becca. The first person she talks to is Wills. Now, Wills and her are hugged up super tight, and I noticed that Wills is giving her a lot of, you know, physical interaction. He's kissing her a lot, and she's definitely returning it. The body language, I think, is pretty warm, but I definitely think that Wills is initiating most of the contact. So they start talking, and he's just like, I was so nervous about today. I really have missed you. I feel like it's been such a journey, and I realize how important this day is for our relationship. He was like, I really, really, really want to bring you home to meet my parents, because they're just such a good good match and they're such good people, and I want you to meet my family. I want that more than anything. My parents are actually about to celebrate their 50th anniversary. And I was just like, that is so beautiful. That's so inspiring. That's something that any child would pray for their parents. And I think it's such a blessing that he is able to speak so fondly about his parents, and also to have such an example in his life about the type of love and the type of connection that he's looking for. And I think when he's talking about his parents and then, sharing that with Becca, he's looking into her eyes and looking for that connection as well. And I could definitely see that Wills is super serious about dating. He's super serious about being all in and open with Becca, and he wants her to know that he's had examples in his life of true love and that he is a contender in this thing. So she's just like, really? What? No way. Like, what are they like? And he literally says, my mom is the type of person that when we're out, she will talk to anyone. And when she talks to those people, she makes you feel like she's known you her entire life. And Becca's just like, no freaking way. My mom is the exact same way. Her parents were together up until her father passed for 22 years. She does note that it's not 50 years, but just the fact that their moms are so similar and the way that their dads love their moms are so similar is so interesting, because they just have this incredible bond. They have all of these things in common. Two people from two very different places, look different, act different, feel different, but they have so much in common, and it's just such a good foundation that they do have. So I think their conversation was all about them establishing that they have a lot in common. She starts talking to Jason, and like I mentioned before, Jason is super confident. He's literally sitting on the couch, like his shoulders are relaxed. He's hugged up on Becca, and he's holding her like this day is just another day in the park. Like, he's not looking nervous or anything. And I just thought it was so interesting that Jason was so confident with where he and Becca were at. So he starts talking about how he feels about her, and he's just like, I'm so glad that we're here. And she agrees and says that even though their connection has built a little more slowly than others and a little more different, she is so happy with where they are and just so happy that she got to get to know him. She does start to ask him about who she will meet on his hometown if they were to go to his hometown, and he tells her, you would meet my parents, you would meet my siblings, you would meet my grandma, you start meeting all these people in my life. We see a little bit of hesitance with Becca. I think she's a little nervous with him because of their progression. It does seem like it happened more slowly than some of the others, but I do think that based on their last one-on-one, they do have a very strong bond. One that I wouldn't have necessarily called in the beginning. And I love those connections. I really do. But I think Becca's only concerns are that he is not expressive with how he's feeling. She's getting from the other guys, I love you, I'm falling in love with you. We've heard it from pretty much every guy except for Leo and Jason. And she tells him, like, I need you to tell me how you're feeling. You're not quick to tell me how you're feeling. And he's just like, I feel very strongly for you. I'm really into you. And I know it's a little bit harder for me to say those things, but it's because I take it so seriously. And it's because I don't just give it away and say it to say it. And of course, we've heard that that's what Becca wants. She wants honesty, and she wants someone to truly say how they're feeling and not just fluff it up just because they don't want to hurt her feelings. We know that's like her biggest fear. And Jason's just telling her, I'm really into you. I like where we are. I want you to meet my family. And I really don't want us to leave off like this. Like, I don't want to leave today because I don't feel like our time is over yet. Jason again is exuding this confidence of like, I'm not gonna tell you I love you, but I'm also not gonna allow you to kick me out. Like, we just not ending like that, sis. So that's why I came here like, where am I going? Where are you gonna take me? He was so chill and relaxed. I was just like, damn, goals. We're hearing in Leo's confessional that he is struggling a little bit with where he is with Becca. He feels like they have a solid connection and that he really likes her, but he's a little doubtful now that he can get to that place of falling in love with her with the time that they have left. And just looking at how the other guys talk about her and how they feel about her, he's a little nervous to tell her that he's not there yet. He starts telling her, you know what, Becca, you're such an incredible woman. And I just have had so much fun getting to know you. And I really do believe that if we had more time, I could get to the place of where some of these other guys are at. He's like, I see them day in and day out. They're talking about how they feel about you. They're so into you. And he's like, maybe it's because they got more time early on and they've had more time with you that they're able to progress that far. But he's like, I just didn't get that time. And I'm fearing now that I don't know if the end for me is a proposal with us. I'm just not to the point where I could just say, I love you. And I could just be so free and open with that because I'm just not wholeheartedly there. But he does give her a consolation prize and say maybe a last pitch like, okay, just in case you might want to keep me before I just completely ask myself out of this situation. He's like, even though I'm not there with you, I'm hoping that a hometown date could kind of push me there, you know, to get us there to that next level that we need to be at. And at this point, I'm just like, bruh, you basically you just opened the door of you getting eliminated at this point. And I think that's what he was trying to do, honestly. I think he was trying to make it so that he could say, oh, I basically eliminated myself. Like, he knew what it was. He knew he probably didn't have a great shot of getting that one rose on this 3-on-1, and that he needed to graciously bow out and not get rejected. So I think he definitely he teed up the bat, and she's about to bat it out the park. Let's just say that. So she does say, you know what, Leo, I'm so glad you're honest with me. I definitely can say the same. I do think that our relationship is a little behind some of the other ones. I've enjoyed getting to know you. You're such a good guy. You're such a cool guy. And one of the qualities I admire about you is how open and honest you are, even in this moment. I think that it's fair to bring your family into this if we both are not 100% on where we are. And so for that reason, I just think it's best if, you know, we end things now. So, of course, no surprise on his face. He knew what was going to happen in that moment. He opened the door, she closed it, but it doesn't mean that their goodbye wasn't hard. They do hug, and they separate on the beach, and he is near the water, just looking down, looking sad, and Becca is looking into the distance, you know, looking like she just made a hard decision. I don't think it was that hard, unless we missed the connection with them, but I think it's just the fact that they're getting closer to the end, and these breakups are going to get harder. So we see Jason and Will sitting on some couches, and they're thinking, oh my gosh, Leo's been gone for a while. And they start saying, I wonder what happened with him. Jason mentions he could possibly be going home. We don't know their connection. It'll be interesting to see what he says when he comes back from the time. But then the guy spots that Leo and Becca have separated. Becca is walking alone, and Leo is near the water, and they put 2 and 2 together and realize that Leo has just been eliminated, and that, wow, there is really one less guy to go. So Becca returns to the guys, and she does tell them that her and Leo had a great conversation, but they mutually decided that they just weren't where they needed to be going into hometowns, and he's going home. Let's get into dinner. And they're at the dinner table, and Wills is in here. I thought Wills was going to come through with a little bit of a suit or something, but Will said, we are on vacation, bitch. He got on a 2-piece, his typical like floral 2 pieces, short sleeve with shorts. And I was just like, bro, Wills has to be the best dressed this season. Like, there is no dispute. I expect that he gets this award at one of the live shows or one of the recorded. Like, they need to acknowledge this man's style because impeccable. She pulls Jason aside. He again reassures her and tells her that I know I haven't told you I've fallen in love with you, and I know I'm not forthcoming with my emotions, but you have so much to look for with me. There's so much you still haven't learned about me, and look at how far we've come in the time that we've been given, and just think about how far we have to go. So she talks to Wills, and Wills is really about that I need to tell you how I feel life. And he starts telling Becca that he is in this. He didn't realize how he was feeling, but now he's comfortable in telling Becca that he is truly so close to being in love with her. He is truly falling so hard for her, and he could just see everything with them. He's just like, I know this is a hard day and this is a hard decision, but like, I am ready to take that next step with you. He hugs her up so tight, and they make out and just keep kissing, and he can't stop grabbing her face and kissing her. And it's just obvious to me that Wills is so into making Becca feel like he's super into her, and we'll see if that's enough. So the guys and Becca are back at the table, and Becca goes through, and it's just like, this is the hardest decision that I've ever had to make. This is definitely the hardest rose I've ever had to give out. And I know that either way, I'm going to hurt one of you, and you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it at all, but kind of like it's just a part of the process, and I don't want you to ever think less of yourself. So she picks up the rose, and she does announce that she has to follow her heart and she has to follow her gut. And she announces that the rose will be going to Jason. Man. Just to be general, I definitely predicted that a black man would make it to like a top 4 or top 3. He was so close. So like, I think that Wills is just one of those super genuine guys, and I didn't really see this overwhelming chemistry between him and Becca, but Wills is taking it really hard on the way out. He starts crying. He starts crying over this, and Becca's just like, I'm so sorry. I have to let you go, but I have to assess these connections, and you've been nothing but good to me. You're the greatest guy here. You're so loving, and something just didn't feel right. Something was a little bit off between us. It wasn't all the way there, and that's why you're going home, but I don't want you to get discouraged. Like, you really are such a great guy. And he's just not trying to hear that, you know? He's just not trying to hear that. And to add on to it, Becca's just like, I know you have nothing to worry about. You will find your person. And Wilson's taking it very hard. I was shocked to see him take it so hard with Becca. Like I said, I don't know if that chemistry was so explosive and so there, but maybe Wills is just one of those people who's able to just stay chill at all times and really is warring with emotion internally while externally looks super calm. It could be that. Or Wills could just be, you know, caught up in the world of The Bachelor. I think that's what it was. I think once Wills gets home, he's going to realize that all the tears, pain that he expressed and is expressing to the camera about how hurt he is, how it really broke him when she said, oh, you'll find your person, how he just couldn't understand how he was going home at this moment. I think once he gets home, he's going to realize that he was sucked in a bubble, and that he has so much more out there, and he will find the person for him. So I have no doubt that Wills is going to find someone, and I'm interested to see if we're going to see him in paradise. So I'm keeping out for him. And also, like a girl who watches The Bachelorette. Hey, Wills. That is the end of my week 7 recap. Oh my God, y'all, we are getting so close to the end. I can't even believe it for multiple reasons, but mostly because I haven't even freaking picked a team until week 7, and that's crazy enough. I'm getting a little bit, just a little, don't get too excited, a little bit more excited about what I'm seeing. And I think this episode definitely brought me some angst, a little bit of angst. It got me a little bit more intrigued with who she's going to pick in the end. Blake is a front runner. She acknowledged that this week, but it's also like, it seems like she's falling for some of these other guys. So I just want to know who she picks. If you made it to the end, you already know you are Liddy. You already know you are the real one, the real MVP. You in my crew. You in my clan. What's good? What's up? Okay? You know these recaps coming up towards the end are going to be even more lit. So don't get behind. Don't get behind. Turn those notifications on. Of course, right after you subscribe. Subscribe. Yeah, I said it 3 times for emphasis. Definitely leave a comment below and tell me how you're feeling about this week. Do you agree with everything I said? Who do you see it most with? Who do you think has the most chemistry? Are you okay with the people who went home this week? Let me know how you're feeling. I love to chat with you. I absolutely love it, and I thank you for the support. Again, please like, please subscribe, please share it with your friends. It's so important, and I hope you have the greatest week. Let's hope that they don't keep cutting the budget. We're going in the right direction, ABC. We just need to keep going, okay? Keep spending the coin. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all be good this week. Okay. Bye.